คณะอุตสาหกรรมอาหารสถาบันเทคโนโลยีพระจอมเกล้าเจ้าคุณทหารลาดกระบังเป็นสถาบันอุดมศึกษาชั้นนำด้านวิทยาศาสตร์และเทคโนโลยีของประเทศหลักสูตรระดับปริญญาตรี3หลักสูตรสาขาวิชาวิทยาศาสตร์และเทคโนโลยีการอาหารสาขาวิชาเทคโนโลยีการหมักในอุตสาหกรรมอาหารสาขาวิชาวิศวกรรมแปรรูปอาหารหลักสูตรระดับปริญญาโท3หลักสูตรสาขาวิชาวิทยาศาสตร์การอาหารสาขาวิชาเทคโนโลยีการบริการอาหารและการจัดการสาขาวิชาการจัดการความปลอดภัยอาหารหลักสูตรระดับปริญญาเอก1หลักสูตรสาขาวิชาวิทยาศาสตร์การอาหารหลักสูตรนานาชาติคณะของเราเน้นการพัฒนาผลิตภัณฑ์อาหารนวัตกรรมและโครงงานวิจัยเพื่อนำไปสู่การสร้างเทคโนโลยีทางอาหารที่สามารถแก้ไขปัญหาได้จริงเราจะเป็นสถาบันแนวหน้าที่ผลิตบุคลากรและสร้างนวัตกรรมเพื่อพัฒนาอุตสาหกรรมอาหารให้เป็นที่ยอมรับในระดับสากล
คณะอุตสาหกรรมอาหารมีการเรียนการสอนเกี่ยวกับอาหารนักศึกษาจะได้เรียนรู้ฝึกคิดวิเคราะห์และปฏิบัติจริงในห้องเรียนห้องปฏิบัติการมีการฝึกงานและสหกิจศึกษาที่สถานประกอบการและมีการศึกษาโจทย์วิจัยที่เกี่ยวข้องกับอาหารที่ทันสมัยคณะมีหลักสูตรระดับปริญญาตรีที่มีการเรียนการสอนครอบคลุมทุกด้านของอุตสาหกรรมอาหารทั้งหมด4หลักสูตรได้แก่ 1. หลักสูตรวิทยาศาสตร์และเทคโนโลยีการอาหาร 2. หลักสูตรเทคโนโลยีการหมักในอุตสาหกรรมอาหาร 3. หลักสูตรวิศวกรรมแปรรูปอาหาร และ 4. หลักสูตรวิทยาศาสตร์การประกอบอาหารและการจัดการการบริการอาหารหลักสูตรนานาชาติสิ่งอำนวยความสะดวกในคณะมีอุปกรณ์ที่พร้อมต่อการเรียนการสอนมีอุปกรณ์และเครื่องมือการแปรรูปอาหารการวิเคราะห์และตรวจสอบคุณภาพอาหารที่ทันสมัยทั้งในระดับห้องปฏิบัติการและในระดับอุตสาหกรรมมีห้องปฏิบัติการการครัวที่พร้อมรองรับการเรียนการสอนรวมถึงร้านอาหารต้นแบบให้นักศึกษาได้ฝึกปฏิบัติเพื่อการเรียนรู้ของนักศึกษาช่วยสนับสนุนและส่งเสริมทักษะปฏิบัติของนักศึกษาให้เป็นไปอย่างมีประสิทธิภาพสูงสุด
Oh, so hello everyone. Welcome you again on the World Food Series webinar at Food Industry KMITL. So welcome every participant who will be in here. And today we had the special guest with us today. So last time we went to France, but today we will go to the South America. That is very impressive that we're going to talk today in the topic of food additive and Brazilian food, historical, health, and main ingredient. So everyone is welcome, Dr. Catherine Bussolins. Today will be the guest today. But before we starting that, I would like to short introduce things about her a little bit. So she graduated the PhD in natural science, specialist in ecotoxicology in University of Gothenburg, Sweden. And she also had a laboratory experience over 25 years within the fields of biochemistry, marine biology, and aquaculture and ecotoxicologist, and now she is on the owners of Worthy Consultancy since 2018 and specialist in toxicology consultant and specific communications. And now today, as she is a Brazilian and have the international experience a lot, so our faculty is asking her to sharing about us with the food additive and Brazilian food. Someone is thinking it's very far from us, but we're gonna see today what is something is like Thai foods or Asia foods or not. So I would like to give the floor here to Dr. Catherine. Say hello, hi, Dr. Catherine.
Hey, hello
Hey,
everyone.
so the floor is yours, and if you have a question, so you can leave in the chat box, in the Facebooks, or in the Zoom in here. And after we presentation, we're gonna take photo together. So, Dr. Catherine, please give the lectures for all of the students.
Okay, let me share here my screen. So everyone can see my presentation?
Yes, clearly.
It's nice. Hello everyone. I'm very happy to talk to you about my country, a little bit of history, and Brazilian food. So should we start?
Yes, you can start.
Okay. So thank you for the invitation, Dr. Orhorn, and I'm very glad to be here today. I hope you like the presentation. I prepare many pictures, so if you, in the end, if you want any recipe, I'll be happy to share with you, okay? All right, so I'll just organize my screen here. All right, so here are some topics. Here are the topics that I will speak today. I will start a little bit with Brazilian history because it's difficult to talk about the Brazilian cuisine without telling you a little bit how the history of Brazil is. Then I will tell you about the origin of Brazilian cuisine, and I will show you popular dishes that we eat here every day or we eat here in festivities. Then I will tell you about food additives and human health. And in the end, as usual, you have time for questions. I will just ask you one thing before I continue. Can you hear me well? It's okay? The sound?
Yes, very well.
Okay.
My student is not quite talk, so mostly I answer.
Nice. If
Okay.
you cannot see anything, what I'm speaking, or if you
Yes.
cannot hear, just let me know, please. Okay. Right, let's
Okay.
continue. So, all right. So, well, a little bit of the history of Brazil. So Brazil was colonized by the Portuguese in the 1500s. And the Portuguese, they say they discovered Brazil, but Brazil had a native population of 2.5 million people living there already there. So they were the native South American peoples living there. And they were living there for 15 to 20,000 years before the Portuguese arrived. So they say they discovered, but there was people already there. So there was many tribes, like there was a civilization there, right? In the first moment, unfortunately, the Portuguese tried to use the native people to work in the field, to cultivate tobacco, coffee, cotton, sugar, and to extract the woods. But the natives people, they just they start to get sick, and they died. They couldn't bear so much work. They were not, because they were hunters and gatherers, and suddenly the Portuguese were forcing them to work the whole day. So they were getting diseases for the Portuguese, and they were getting sick. So they didn't work. So the Portuguese then to have slaves to work for them, they capture people from Africa, unfortunately. I know it's sad, and it's a dark part of the history of Brazil, but soon it will make sense for you. So by the year 1550s, the colonists, the Portuguese explorers, starts to bring African slaves to Brazil. And you see this map to your left, you see they took African people from the coast of Africa, the west coast, and they took to Brazil. Were about 5 million people in total brought from Africa to Brazil, from many different places where the countries of Senegal, Congo, and Angola are today. So if you see Brazil received 5 million African slaves, and in other places there was like 0.5 million to US and 0.3 million to Europe. So Brazil received a lot of African people brought by the Portuguese as slaves to work in the fields. So in the year 1871, there was a princess that imposed a law to free the children born from slaves' parents, and then the end of slavery started. Then after some years, in the year 1885, there was this the Saraiva-Cotegipe law, imposed also by the abolitionists, which were people that were against the slavery. So from that, the slaves were free when they reached the year of 60. So it was the beginning of the end of the slavery. The slavery ended because the abolitionists made a lot of pressure, but also because there was a lot of poor people in Europe and in other places worldwide, and then it was more profitable for the Portuguese to have immigrants instead of shipping and keeping the slaves. So then from slavery, from work from slavery, then the field starts to be worked by European immigrants, like that came from poor parts from Europe. Okay. Well, here I just want to clarify that immigration is a movement of foreign people that go to a place to stay, and we had I talk about so far of colonization, which was people going there to extract valuable things, like in the case of Portuguese was extracting wood and minerals and work the land and grow crops of food. But also like this second movement of people to Brazil was immigration. So they went there because they wanted. So before the people brought from Africa, they went to Brazil against their will. So now I will tell you about the immigration of people to Brazil. So there was like about 1.0 million Portuguese, 1.5 million Italians, and about 700,000 Spaniards that went to Brazil. So these were the first big immigration to Brazil. And because of that, today, interesting enough, Brazil has the largest population of Portuguese origin in the world. We have more Portuguese descendants than Portugal, you see. We have also the largest population of Italian origin in the world outside Italy. And we have the second population of Spaniards in the world outside Spain. You see, Brazil is a big, big country. Let me pass here, it's not going, yes. So I just want to show you with this graph. Here is a graph showing immigrants to Brazil. from the year 1872 to the year 1909. Here, this graph show percentage of people per years, and then I will just help you to see here. In green is Italian people that went to Brazil. In red is Portuguese people. In yellow is Spanish people, and in black Germans, and in purple is other nationalities. Okay, so for you to have an idea on how much of each population of each European groups went to Brazil in this period. And here I have just a general map that I want to show you. Of course, we have people from other nationalities, but like you see in red is Brazil, and in green is nationalities, is countries where immigrants from that country went to Brazil. You see, so the darkest the green, the more people went from that country in green to Brazil. So you see, we have a lot of people from Spain and Portugal, from Italy, also from Japan. We have a huge Japanese colony here in Brazil, and also from South America, and also from USA, for example. You see also some countries in Africa where people went to Brazil against their will, as I just told you. All right. So you see, we have people from everywhere. Like we have from immigrants from many parts of the world. And this will explain why. I will show you how the Brazilian cuisine started. Okay. So now let's speak about food. Finally. So I will tell you about how the Brazilian cuisine started, right? And how it is today. So the Brazilian cuisine is a blend of European, of Amerindian, which is local people, like the local natives that were living here and I still are living here in Brazil, African people and Asian people too. The first Asian nationality that came to Brazil was Japanese, but we have also Lebanese people that went here later on. But the first was European and the African. And together with the Amerindian, they start to create the cuisine as it is today. It varies a lot by region in Brazil, and you see Brazil is a very big country, so you can imagine it varies a lot. And is a mix of native cuisine and with immigrant influences. And in the picture here, you see our national dish, which is rice and beans. And I will tell more about it in the next slides. Here I just want to show you some ingredients used by the native peoples here. They were using these ingredients way before the Portuguese arrived. So we have plenty of cashew trees, which give us cashews. So many dishes have cashew nuts, and you know that well in Thailand. I ate some dishes with cashew nuts, delicious. We have cassava, which I don't know if you see in there, probably because there is some of these ingredients exist everywhere now. So cassava is a long root that's very starchy and is widely used in many dishes here in Brazil. We have guaraná, people call guarana also, which is a seed that you grind and you make. You can put in smoothies or you can make drinks with that. People use guaraná, which is this red fruit, this powder there, to give them a lift. It's like it's a brain tonic, and it gives you like alertness, but it's not as strong as coffee. Give you a good alertness. Is good for studying. Is good if you want to just have a lift, especially in the warm days. It gives you that alertness that you need. And we also have, they also used for many, many years, for thousands of years before the Portuguese arrived, açaí, which is a fruit that is very rich in C vitamin, is becoming very popular as it's consumed like in a smoothie, and you put things on top and you eat like with a spoon. It's becoming very popular all over the world. Well, here I want just to show you examples of dishes of how different is the Brazilian cuisine from south to north. And there's some examples of how the foods look like and the names. I will just say some names here, so just you can hear how it sounds. We have in the south we have arroz de carreteiro, more close to Rio de Janeiro you have moqueca capixaba, or in the north you have tacacá or tucupi. And I will tell you more about these dishes in the next slides, and about the ingredients. And now it's just for illustrate how they look like and how it differs from north to south. Well, as I mentioned before, the dishes were created with the immigrant influence, that they brought their own typical dishes, and then they encountered also dishes that were already being made and eaten by the local peoples. So that's how it started. I just want to cite here again that the first immigrants were European, and then after it came the Asian people. And these people, they replaced the missing ingredients in their dishes that they used to have at home in their countries with local ones. So this was a so you find like dishes that you find in Portugal or in Japan, here in Brazil, but using local ingredients, which is a very interesting thing. These people also, the especially not the European people, they introduced wine and dairy products also to Brazil and to the Brazilian cuisine. Wow. So let me show you how the dishes were created. So the local ingredients were incorporated into the immigrant dishes with the typical dishes that they used to have at home. In cassava, which is this root and this flour that is shown in the picture more to the top, it was incorporated in many dishes. We have also, here is just some examples. The African slaves, the enslaved Africans, they created many dishes with chili. Interesting enough is like where there is more African influence, there is more, the food is more hot, like in Thailand they use a lot of chili, right? So I will show you where, the map later on, but the African, they use a lot of chili in their dishes, and they also created the national dish, which is rice and beans. And in the picture there, where you see rice and beans, you see also flour, which is cassava flour, and kale that is made like a steamed fried. That is eaten together. It's a very nice combination, and is a popular food because these ingredients grow here, and then is cheap and very nutritious. The combination of rice and beans is perfect in terms of amino acids. So if you eat this, you'll be very well nutrition. You'll be ready to work and to do your day with all the nutrition you need. I also want to show you some example of Japanese food here. That's is rice noodle with vegetables, which is eaten here very often, and is like is a dish that's came from Japanese influence, right? Like the soy sauce that we use some people use in the daily basis here in Brazil, and other ingredients from Asian cuisine who brought here were the Japanese immigrants. Okay. I want to answer this part of food and history by showing something very interesting about the potato, and in the after that about the tomato. So you maybe don't know that, but the potato comes from South America, and you see in these pictures that is there are hundreds of types of potato here in South America. They were domesticated by peoples in Peru and Bolivia, and the potatoes were cultivated in South America for about 10,000 years before the European explorers took from South America and brought to Europe. Imagine the English cuisine, or imagine Europe without the potato. Like in Sweden, when I was living there, the potato is basic, is the base of food. It's like a staple food for the Swedish people. Now imagine without it. So before that, the only staple food they have, the basic food, like that were giving them calories, was wheat. And after the explorers took the potato to South America, to Europe, then they have more food security, because potato was resisting frost. So even if the winter was very cold, the potato survived underground, and in the next year they could cultivate the potato. So this helped Europe be strong. And also the tomato comes from South America and Central America. And we have dozens of types of tomatoes. You see some of them in these pictures. When you go to a market here in Brazil, you see many of these tomatoes, these local tomatoes. And the tomatoes were domesticated by Aztecs and the Mexicans here in South America, and were taken from South America to Europe by the explorers also. Now imagine Italian cuisine without the tomato, without the tomato sauce. Would be so different, right? Well, now I will show you, and I will tell you about popular dishes in Brazil. All right. I will show this picture again so I can explain it, right? So there is no national Brazilian cuisine. There is no like a bunch of dishes that represent Brazilian cuisine, like, because it's so varied, and it changes from south to north, and it depends which sorts of people the place received, which sorts of people were living there, and which sort of ingredients that grow well there. So here I just want to show you all these dishes are rice and beans, but they are eaten in different states of Brazil. Like, for example, in Rio de Janeiro, people like brown beans, so they make rice and beans with brown beans. More to south, we like more black beans, so you see these dishes with black beans. If when there is more abundance of fruits, then they bring fruits to the plate also as well, because things that go well with rice and beans are orange and banana, for example. You can eat with fruits. It helps with your digestion and is very tasty. So every region has its own version of the rice and beans, but is eaten from south to north. It's the only dish that all Brazilian people eat. Okay, in every state exists, the only one. The other dishes are all different from every region. Okay. Here I have some examples of Brazilian cuisine, just to show you how how it is. I just want to show you the state of Bahia. Is this state in the is the green state in the top map? Is where they use a lot of chili. Is the only state where they use like hot food. They use very spiced food, and is because of the African influence. But they also have influence of indigenous people and in the Portuguese cuisine. More in the northern states, which in the lower map is the green part. So they have an abundance of forest, as you can see. You can see in a map. If you open a map, it's like that. They have an abundance of forest and fish. So they eat a lot of cassava and fruits and fish because they have plenty of it. And cassava grows well in warm places, in warm weather. And we have many dishes made with different flours made from cassava that I will tell you about later. And also in the south, for example, people eat more meat because we have a long history of cattle production. And we share many of the eating habits with the Argentinian people and Uruguay. All right. Just some examples on how people in Southwest Brazil eat, which is the red part of the map. So there you have important states that you hear a lot about, which is Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo, for example. They eat feijoada, which is beans with chopped pork that you boil and you put spices and you eat with rice and cassava flour and other maybe some steamed kale and other things. In the whole coast of Brazil, seafood is very popular, but especially in this area, to eat seafood and to eat fish is very, very popular. And because of the strong Portuguese influence of this region, then they also eat some typical Portuguese dish, which is bolinho de bacalhau, which is a fried cod, that I will show you later, which is a very common street food there. Other two examples of foods from this part, the red part of the map. So in São Paulo was created a dish called pastel, which I love it very much. Is a dish that has Japanese influence, and is just a pastry that you fill, you put a filling, you close it, and you fry, you deep fry in vegetable oil. Was created from the spring rolls. You see, the Japanese cuisine has this spring rolls that you roll the pastry around some filling. So here in Brazil is just like is a square, or is a round pastry that you just filled, and you can fill with any sort of filling that you want. But people here like with cheese and with minced meat or chopped vegetables. Is delicious in any way you make it. Another dish which is more to your right is called moqueca capixaba, which is fish cooked in tomato sauce, which is very tasty too. People say that very tasty. I never tried because I'm vegetarian. And it's traditionally prepared in a clay pan. And there is a cuisine in the state of Minas Gerais that I will show you later, that they use clay pans because it gives a different taste to the food. It gives a homey, earthy taste. And I just to show you how interesting how the cooking pans can change, can be like a way of cooking food even today, because it gives a special taste to the food. Well, let me tell you about the northern cuisine, which is the green part. I just give you an example. So there they have the Amazon forest and have a lot of indigenous people. So in this part, in this region of Brazil, the cuisine is heavily influenced by the indigenous cuisine. So it's a lot of cassava, a lot of fish, and a lot of stews. Here I just want to show you one dish that's very typical and very popular and very different way of cooking from the other parts of Brazil. That's called pato no tucupi, which is this picture here. This sauce is a broth that's extracted from the cassava. They fermented the cassava and they extract this juice, this sauce, and then they boil the food. In this case, is a duck in this sauce, and then this is the typical dish of that region. Now I will show you some examples of food from central Brazil, which is the yellow part, the more to the west. So they use a lot of pequi, which is a fruit, and I have a picture here for you. Like, is a fruit that comes from this tree, is this round fruit, and they grind it. They cook with rice, and then it's very tasty and has a very unique taste. And they use in many dishes there because it grows plenty in that region. Also more to the south, there is the states of Mato Grosso and Mato Grosso do Sul. They receive influence from the neighboring countries near Brazil, and their dishes have a lot of fish in it because they have plenty, and also a lot of cassava. Okay. Some examples of food from North and East cuisine, which is the orange region here in the map. So is heavily influenced by African people and indigenous people. So you have some interesting dishes that, for example, one is called vatapá, which is the one with sauce, that's one to your left, which is shrimp cooked in coconut milk. You see, very similar of the way Thai people make some of the sauces, some Thai sauces. And they use also ground peanut in the sauce and palm oil. But it's the palm oil produced in Brazil, from the palm trees in Brazil. It's not the same as used in Asia. So they make this paste, they cook it, and they eat with rice, as you see here. They also have a very interesting typical dish there, which is made from a pastry of white beans. That is these black-eyed beans. They cook the beans, they make a paste, and then they form a ball. They fry this ball, and then they open it and put a filling. In general, it's a very chili, very spicy filling, and then they eat it warm. And this is very, very tasty. Now let me tell you about the southern part of Brazil, what people eat. I'm sitting right now in the southern state of Brazil. Here we have subtropical climate, it's not so warm, and we share many of the eating and the drinking habits with the neighboring countries like Uruguay and Argentina. So in this region, people have a long history of livestock production and a lot of German immigrants. So red meat is part of many dishes here in the south. We call it churrasco, which is a term from barbecue, and you can see to your left, which is meats, many different kinds of meat that are grilled in the charcoal. It's not directly in the fire, but you lit the charcoal and let the heat cook the meat slowly. That's the way people do it, and then gets like cooked and with that smoked taste. And people just put like roughly grounded salt on top of it. It's not fine sauce. It's like with big grains of salt they put on top of it, and so the meat gets salted just enough in this way, and gets like a little bit salted outside and less salted inside. So that's the way people do it here in the South, not just in Brazil. And I have to tell you, I cannot talk about south of Brazil or south of South America without showing you this tea. If you ever see someone drinking this tea from this pipe is a cup. You see this guy in the picture drinking it. Is called chimarrão. Is made from a tree that you collect the leaves and you grind it when it's dry, and it's called the name of the tree is Ilex paraguayensis. For those that know a little bit of botanics, if you know the name, you want to know the name later, I can give you written, so it's better. But is a tea that's like you pour inside this cup. Let's say this cup, which is which also grows here. Is like is a tree gives like this a big fruit that gets dry. And it's empty inside. There's just some seeds, but it's like it has a space inside, so you just cut it and then you make a cup of it. And inside this cup, then you pour the tea. You pour the tea, and then from the tree, and then you pour warm water, not boiling water. Should be hot water, but not that hot. And then you drink with this metal pipe. And you share this tea. People find it very weird, but anyway, people do it here. And we use this pipe with a tip of silver, so it's not you're not like everyone can drink from the same pipe. Like what people share only within the family. We don't share with like strangers this tea. So you drink slowly. You drink like one after the other. You share, and then. This tea gives you a lift. Also is good for studying. I like when I study, I like to drink chimarrão, to drink this tea, because gives you a lift that is much more mild than caffeine, than coffee, and it's very pleasant and is very good with to drink this when is winter here, because it warms you up and gives you that lift. Okay, and I have to mention that despite of the fact that the South has a lot of dishes with meat, and people in the past ate basically in parties just meat, just barbecue and some bread and maybe some potato salad. Today things are changing, because people are getting more aware of animal rights, of animal welfare, and also of their health, because they are realizing that eat like in a meal a lot of meat is not healthy. So people are reducing the meat intake. It's not like that anymore. It's like in many families, most of the families that I know, you have a barbecue, but it's a little bit of meat, and then you have a lot of other dishes that people can eat. So also vegetarian and vegan people will feel welcome in these parties, because vegetarian and vegan people are on the rise here in Brazil. That is from 5 years to now. That is just increasing the number of people that are vegetarian and vegan. So then the food habits of the families are changing because of that. And I think it's very interesting and very nice for everyone. I'm a vegetarian myself. Well, I just want to show you popular dishes here in Brazil, apart from rice and beans. As I told you, they are very popular, but show you what people eat in the daily basis, like what else people eat here in Brazil in the common day. So they eat a lot of pasta. that can be like Italian style, can be Japanese style, or can be like pasta salad, which is very Brazilian style. We chop vegetables and can be eaten warm or cold. Cold in the hot months is very tasty and very digestive. And there are many of our dishes that use potato and manioc, which is the cassava. And also polenta is another replacement for rice, because we have also a strong Italian influence here in the dish, especially in my state. My state has a strong Italian and German influence in the dishes. So you can see like in these pictures, Italian style pasta or salad pasta, or Japanese style pasta, which is can be rice noodles or other sort of noodles with vegetables. I cannot give a presentation like that without showing some of our fruits. We have very interesting fruits. We have hundreds of sorts of fruits that grow here in South America. And some of them you probably already seen and eaten, even in Thailand, because some of them are already cultivated someplace else, of course. But I just want to show you some of the typical fruits here. I try to get some that you didn't know and some that you are familiar with. So Brazilian people eat a lot of fruits in smoothies or in salads, but especially fresh fruits, because we have plenty. And one interesting thing about our fruits is that most of the names comes from the names of the native people. The native people named the fruits, and then the Portuguese just kept on calling the fruit with the names given by the native people. So we have you have a picture of a native South American, native Brazilian Indian. They have a round face. They have like a light brown skin, and they have dark straight hair. They're very beautiful people. So I will just say some names here. It's like açaí, cupuaçu, carambola, buriti. Açaí I already told you about, is that black fruit for C vitamin. Cupuaçu is used, is a bit more oily and is used in cosmetics also. There is a carambola that you probably see in Thailand. That's like star fruit that you cut in a certain way, and that you put in a salad. This makes a very beautiful salad with this fruit. There is also buriti, which is also oily fruit. Caju, which gives the cashew nuts to the down left corner. We have jabuticaba, which is this dark fruit that grows in the trunk. Interesting way of because most of the fruit is in the together with the leaves in the tip of the tree, and this one grows in the trunk. We have pitanga, which is like acid and very sweet at the same time. It's very tasty and like is the size of a ping pong ball max. Like in general is like smaller. And we have also this pine fruit that's araticum. That is inside is white, and the pulp is tastes like yogurt and banana or something like that. I used to use this analogy to explain the taste of this fruit. Just some examples of Brazilian drinks here. The national beverage is coffee. From the beginning, after the Portuguese colonized, we grow a lot of coffee. Some of the best coffee comes from Brazil. We have good quality coffee, so people drink a lot of coffee here, but not as much in Sweden, where me and Dr. Orakorn did our PhDs. People in Sweden drink huge mugs of coffee. Here is just like a small drink of coffee just to give you a lift. It's not that much. you don't need that much coffee to give you that alertness that you need, like in Sweden. Sweden is mugs and mugs of very strong coffee. Cachaça is our native liquor. Is made from fermented sugar cane and is very high in alcohol percentage. Is 38 to 48%. And with this we make the national cocktail drink, which is very, probably you heard about it. Is a very popular cocktail drink, which is called caipirinha, which is this one with lemon. That's, you just squeeze the lemon and you leave some lemon inside the cup, because then the outside part of the lemon will release some oils in the drink, which makes it very tasty. So you smash the lemon with some sugar, you pour cachaça in it, and you put lots of ice, and the drink is ready. This one is very easy to make and very tasty. And if you put a lot of ice, you'll not be that strong. So that's the Brazilian cocktail. And we have our own soft drink, which is made from guarana, which is that plant I told you about before, with this guarana seed. They made this soft drink that's drinked here in Brazil, and in South America, in other countries also they use guarana in other drinks, but here we have this drink from south to north. Okay. Here are some examples of Brazilian finger food or street food, which we call salgadinhos, just for you to hear how it sounds. Which are small tasty snacks that you sit in a corner shop, and then you ask for some snacks and maybe some drink, and then you see people passing, or you sit near a beach, and then you ask this sort of snacks. So we have cheese bread, which is called pão de queijo, which is the first one to the left in the picture there. Is made from cassava flour, eggs, milk, and a local cheese. It's Minas cheese that's made here, Brazilian cheese. We have also kibe, which comes from Lebanese influence, which is served fried in the second to the left, from the left to the right. You see a picture. Is minced meat with wheat, and then it's not wheat flour, is wheat like just roughly broken, and then they fried. You can eat fried or baked or even raw. We have also esfirras, which also has Middle Eastern influence, which is like just a pastry with some filling. Can be cheese, can be like a tomato sauce, can be vegetables or minced meat. And we have to the right corner, we have pastel, which is that pastry I told you about from Japanese origin that can be filled with many different fillings. Here are some examples of Brazilian fast food. We have misto quente, which is simply a ham and cheese sandwich, which is grilled. We have cachorro quente, which is just a hot dog, but hot dogs in other countries are eaten just sausage and bread and maybe some mustard and ketchup. Here in Brazil, then people created a way of eating the hot dog with potato chips, with grinded cheese, or like corn and peas together. So it's a meal. It's like it's very filling fast food, but also like it increases the nutrition. You can make like if you have a sausage, you can have bread, but you can put some vegetables, you can put whatever you want there. And in general, people eat here with tomato sauce, which makes like more tasty and more like gives that garnishment to the sausage. We eat a lot of pizza. People eat a lot of pizza as fast food. The way it's made here is with a thin crust, and there are many toppings, and some toppings are just eaten here in Brazil. Like for example, cheese and corn on top is very Brazilian. I never seen anywhere else. And they used to say that Brazilians eat sweet pizza, and when there is sweet pizza outside Brazil, they always mention that Brazilians were some of the first people that created this. But for us, it's just a way of eating melted chocolate, for example. So it would not be really a pizza, it would be like a pizza crust that is previously baked, like cooked in the oven. Then chocolate is added, so is added on the top, so it comes back to the oven, it melts, and then you put the fruit, which could be in the picture there is strawberries, and then the dessert is ready. It's like Brazilians, when there is pizza, then in general there is sweet pizza for dessert. Okay, it's just a way of creating something different, and cannot go wrong with like something crunchy and chocolate that's melted in the fruit on top. It's very good, very tasty. Here are some examples of Brazilian desserts. We have a tradition of making jellies and fresh fruits. So a lot of our cakes have fruit jams and have fruits in it. The way of the Portuguese making sweets is using a lot of eggs and sugar. So together with the Brazilian fruits, then a lot of new sweets were created. And you see some example of a sweet Portuguese influence, but it's Brazilian sweet to the right. It's a plate of many different sweets. This is how they look like. We have a lot of sweets made from peanuts also, which is called paçoca, rapadura, which is basically peanuts that could be grinded, could be whole. They are roasted and they are cooked, or they are involved in a sweet paste, which is sometimes just sugar, like that you cook together with the roasted peanuts, or sugar and milk, or sometimes there is peanuts in it. Sometimes there is coconut, sorry. We have a variety of candies also made from condensed milk, which I have an example is a very popular one. This chocolate balls, which is called brigadeiros, which is condensed milk, chocolate cooked, and then you make small balls and you cover with chocolate. And on the side that is beijinhos, which is coconut and cloves. That's very nice combination of tastes very nice. The coconut, the condensed milk with a touch of clove. And then another example that I want to show you is Romeo and Julieta, which is just Brazilian cheese, which is white cheese, very low in fat and a little bit salty, with the guava jam. Okay, is very popular as a dessert here. Okay, now I will tell you a little bit about food additives, and that's the last part of the final part of my talk today. Okay, so I will show you. I will talk about some food additives and some effects on human health. Okay. All right, so food additives can have a good side and have a bad side. They can be natural or synthetic substances that are added to the food with no nutritional purpose. In other words, is something that is added to the food without, that is not a vitamin, is not it's just something to preserve or to make the food look better. Okay. Additives they are very useful because they preserve the food, and the food, because of that, the food can stay longer in the shelves and can reach more people, because especially exactly because the food will last longer. But that is the other side of the food, the use of food additives, because they compensate for food that is ultra processed, which is the food that's so much processed that in the end doesn't look anymore like it should. So the additives are added to make the food taste and smell and look the way they should, so we will eat it. Imagine that the food is so processed that in the end you not recognize it, so they have to add additives so to make people eat it. That's one of the bad sides. Also, the use of food additives is done to compensate for low quality ingredients. Sometimes in the chain of processing of the food, they can put flour that's expired, or they can put sometimes not expired because there is regulations, right? But they can put flour that's is not like the best quality flour. Or for example, to make tomato sauce, they use a lot of tomatoes that are not ripe, and then in the end they just compensate by adding food additives to make the food look pleasant, right? To make us to eat it. They also add food additives to compensate for low quality in the production process. For example, even the machine is not clean, and then we'll give the machines that's processing the foods is not clean enough. Then they just compensate in the end by adding some color and some flavor and some things that will make the food smell as it should, to mask that lack of care during the food processing. Well, and then as a result of that, people are starting to perceive the presence of too many food additives like a sign of low quality food. And you can observe sometimes you have like a food that is local, that's just made in the small scale, and then you see in the ingredients is just food there. It's just like flour, sugar, for example, in the case of a biscuit, some spices, and then when it starts to be produced in mass production, then a lot of additives are added there because it compensates for lower quality in the chain of production, and also low quality ingredients. Okay, and people are realizing that, at least here in Brazil. Well, some people are saying that food additives can be a health hazard, right? Because additive quantities sometimes, most of the time, are not well supervised by the authorities. And also the additives presence is a big red flag that the food is ultra processed. And this type of food is being more and more linked to many diseases that people are manifesting in the nowadays, right? The diseases that people often show with time. Okay. Well, many researchers say that studies look into food additives. They say that the main main effects on human health is mental disorders. They also observe allergies, is also causing obesity, some sorts of cancers, and there are other diseases that also caused by that, like problems in the the teeth or mouth cavity problems related to food additives. Also, they affect the intestinal flora, which is being linked to create other diseases from that. So the scientists are urging the food industry to be more responsible with the use of food additives, especially in foods made for children. Okay, because children, they see the colorfulness of the candy, they see the way that a biscuit or a cake tastes, and then they just want to eat that. They get sometimes addicted to that, and then for children is much more complicated, and they also, their health, since they are growing, their health is more fragile in terms of dealing with all these additives. Okay, so I just want to show you some interesting study that I found here. It was published last year and is entitled Distribution and Patterns of Use of Food Additives in Foods and Beverages Available in Brazilian Supermarkets. Okay. So they basically got 9,856 food items, and they analyzed it for the presence of food additives, which food additives they found, and which foods I will show you later. So this study was done based on they want to look into what are the effects of they made a bibliographic review showing and they mentioned the effects of food additives in the human health. And from now, I will just tell you what they found in this study. I will just speak about this study, okay? So every information that comes from this paper. So you have the title here. You can check for yourself later if you want more information about that, right? So food additives, they have been linked with negative health effects, like, for example, changes in the intestinal microbiota, which I already mentioned, hyperactive behavior, memory problems, metabolic alterations, and some also carcinogenic effects. Okay. In this study, they mentioned some detrimental health effects that were found by researchers, that they were reported by people related to some additives, like, for example, behavioral and mental disorders associated with coloring, flavor enhancers, hypersensitivity reactions, and immune diseases related to emulsifiers. Metabolic alterations were caused by sweeteners and emulsifiers, for example, and preservatives. And they also notice higher cancer risk linked to colorings and sweeteners and preservatives. And there is one more thing that I should mention here, that very few studies investigate the effects of multiple additives or the possible interactions among them. In other words, nobody knows what the ingestion of that many food additives altogether is causing in the human health. Nobody knows because nobody looked into it. And since I'm environmental toxicologist, I know how difficult it is to study multiple multiple factors in the same study. Like these studies are difficult to make, and also they will show effects that the industry doesn't want to face it. But the food toxicologists, they should look into these effects, and they should study more the interactions, because for sure there will be some interesting results. But now we don't know what this the combination of all these additives is doing to our health. So from this study, I just want to mention quickly some of, here is the list of additives they found in Brazilian food. And, so I will just cite some. They found the humectants, coloring, preservatives, flavoring, for example, maturing agents, and others. But you see there were 25 group of additives found in Brazilian foods. Here I just want to show you the graph from this paper that shows the distribution of the number of items analyzed by food group. So in the top you have candies and desserts and processed meats. So they chose these foods probably because they knew, for example, candies and desserts have a lot of additives. So they chose it, most of these items because of that. But they tested, as you can see, many sorts of foods like salty snacks, sodas, juices, even meat, seafood, and eggs, for example. This graph shows the percentage of additives listed for food items analyzed. So if you get a label, the percentage of additives present in the label, you see here in this graph that on the top is fruit flavored drinks and sodas and the non-caloric sweeteners and other beverages. So beverages in general are in the top of this list were the foods that had the highest percentage of additives in their labels, in their list of food ingredients. And the foods that were have less food additives as in their ingredient list were, for example, nuts and seeds and meat, seafood and eggs. This is the last graph from the study. Here it shows the prevalence of food additive categories in food items analyzed. So the additives that were prevalent in most of the foods, and on the very top you see flavoring agents, and followed by preservatives, coloring, and stabilizers. But the champion here was flavoring agent. And the additives that were least found was humectants, coagulants, and sequestrants in the foods. Well, here are some thoughts from their discussion. We are walking towards the end of my presentation, so hang on there. Well, they mentioned that there's a growing consumption of ultra-processed foods and beverages, and they have many different food additives. They also mentioned that the most investigated foods today, the most investigated food additives today are food dyes from the azo group, which includes the tartrazina yellow, crepuscular yellow, and red 40. Because these food dyes, they have mutagenic and carcinogenic effects. They also mentioned that the antioxidants BHA and BHT induced DNA damage in the stomach, colon, bladder, and brain. And this study, I have to mention, was done in rats, in cobayas. It was not done in people. And that's another flaw of another problem with studying these additives, because to study with people, you just have to observe the habits of people. It's difficult to test them on people. So you end up testing in cobayas, and the industry uses this to say that the effect was not seen in humans, but in the cobayas shows pretty harmful effects. And this is just an argument to keep the additive on the market. Okay. In their discussion, they also mentioned that the dyes responsible for alterations in human behavior are tartrazine, amaranth, poncil red, erythrosine, and ammoniacal caramel. But there are also synthetic antioxidants that are considered a risk factor for attention deficit hyperactive disorder, which we see so often in children today. Here is just a summary of their conclusions. They conclude that the results their results show that the food additives are highly present in several types of food items sold in the Brazilian market. And they also concluded that the beverages, as I mentioned before, like fruit flavored drinks and sodas, and sweetened dairy products and sugar and non-caloric sweeteners, were the food groups with the highest amount of food additives in relation to the other ingredients listed in their labels. Another interesting finding is that most of the additives found in Brazilian food were cosmetic additives. So they are not really necessary. They are just there. They are not there for any other reason but to make the food look and taste and smell good. Okay. They also concluded with this study that the consumption of food additives is harmful to human health, but is also a red flag for ultra-processed foods alone. That the ultra-processed foods by themselves are also pretty bad to human health, because they because they have like a low nutritional value, right? They show studies show that these ultra-processed foods, they have a low nutritional value. They stimulate overeating because they don't have much fiber. You don't feel full. They also have contaminants from packaging, like for example bisphenol A from plastic, and it's just an example. You can have like a plastic powder, oil from the machines, then and other contaminants. And they also have toxic substances produced during processing. And this, with the analysis of the foods that they made, they found this, that there was not just ingredients there, but there were contaminants in this ultra-processed food that were there because of the machines and because of the packaging. Okay. Well, my final message here, and my last slide also. Well, I think that the food additives are not the problem. The problem is the way that they have been used, which is in high quantities and with no discrimination. And I think also that food additives are tools that should be used in a responsible way by the food industry. When this changes, then our food will have much higher quality. And I want to thank you all for listening and to being here to the end. And if you want to ask me something, or if you want to any recipe of the food that you saw here, that you have an idea, you want to see how it's made, then I can help you. Okay. Anything that I can help you, just contact me by my email. Thank you very much all for listening.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Catherine, to sharing us about the Brazilian foods and good food today. It's already evening in Thailand, so I feel a little bit hungry.
I hope
So,
you are. Because I hope you liked the foods that I showed you, and there is some dishes that are quite similar to the dishes that I ate in Thailand, right?
yes,
I think so.
yeah,
With the chili and with the
that's
coconut
right.
milk. Yeah.
But mostly we thinking about Brazil, we thinking about football, not much only that.
Yes, football, carnival, yes, yes.
Ah, yes, of course.
Yeah, and people
So,
always say,
any
carnival, but carnival is just 4 days a year. The other days are normal days.
yes. Anyone in here had the questions to asking the speakers? If no, they have some questions, so leave in the chat
Okay.
box. So, the I don't know it's relating you or not. It's asking about coffee in Brazil. So,
Okay.
in Thailand, we had the famous brandings about the coffee chains. They call Cafe Amazon. So,
Mm-hmm.
Amazon forest is in Brazil, right? So they're asking about the coffee in Brazil. So it's mostly they're growing is I don't know, Arabica or Robusta, and is the taste is good or not. So the aroma or something that asking how about the coffee in there.
Well, the quality of the coffee here comes from the soil that is very rich, and comes from like a long time, a long tradition of producing and making coffee from from the beginning of Brazilian colonization, so hundreds of years already. And but also like every region in Brazil grows different coffee because of the soil, also because of the species of the coffee that is grown. And Brazilian people, they found a way of roasting the coffee in a way that will preserve the flavors, because it's too roasted, is like is roasted for too long will be too strong, and you miss this like background flavors. And if you roast it just enough, then you preserve a lot of this background flavors, so it makes like the coffee more rich. I think that's the secret.
Okay. So the next questions they're asking about the taste of food. So the question is, they know there's a mixed cultures in Brazil and many
Yes.
peoples over there. So, but if you're thinking about Brazilian food, what is the main taste of it? When you're thinking about Thai food, is people will think spicy, not just every region. Mostly they have spicy food. And how about Brazilian food? What is
That's
the
a very
main
nice
taste of
question.
it?
Very nice question. When you think in Brazilian food, apart from Bahia, where they use a lot of chili, and it's just lovely food, most of the Brazil uses a lot of herbs, like fresh herbs or dried herbs, and garlic and onions.
So it's
As
not much
spices.
spicy.
Yeah, they don't use much pepper. I like in South America, in the other countries of South America, people use chili, use peppers. Here, Brazilians don't use peppers because in Portugal they don't use peppers. They use very they don't use this very hot, this very spicy, these foods. It's just like for you Thai people, for you from Thailand, will be like no taste, will be very very plain food. But Brazilian people are learning to use spices. They already use like black pepper, white pepper, and they are learning to use chili. They start to use curries, so they are learning that. That's a good thing for in Brazil, that people are open to new experience, new foods, new spices, and is always like changing and being incorporated. And the most traditional dishes, they keep the same, but they created new with new influences.
I
But
see.
in general, from south to north, the food is spiced with herbs, garlic, and onions.
Not
Yes.
chili, not like in
Yeah, not
Thailand.
chili, unfortunately. And I love chili.
You had to come to Thailand again.
Yes, I have to. I have to. I miss all the spicy foods from Thailand. It's delicious.
Uh-huh. So I just know today that we had some kind of food that eat the same things, like a cashew nut. Actually, I don't know they had over there in Brazil too, and the custard fruit. I like sweet pizza the most. I never see sweet pizza at any place, so I like it. So
Yeah,
because we are okay, because we they had someone's asking about food additive, so they're asking that now they have many food additive in food industry. So in your
yes.
ideas, that what kind of food additive, like a dry or sweeteners, that is you in your ideas that must be awareness the most when used in food.
Good, very good question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, when you look at the label, if you see too many additives, that is a sign that the food is ultra processed, and means that the nutritional value is not so good. Means that the food has to use a lot of additives to compensate for low quality. But I think if you see, for example, preservatives, if you see any preservative in the food, is which is a very common. You should you should be careful not eat that much food, because the preservatives are there to prevent that microorganisms will grow in the food, and then you ingest, and then you kill your intestinal flora. Is one thing that people don't realize that, but like if you eat in a small quantity, should be okay, because your intestinal flora can replace itself. But if you eat food preservatives too often, all the meals, then your intestinal flora will be in bad shape, and then you can have health problems from that.
I see.
Yes, and food colorings should be avoided, especially by children, because they are, as I mentioned in the presentation, they are related to hyperactive behaviors and loss of memory, and like so sometimes the children don't need to take medicine to be calm and to concentrate. They just need to change their diet, and that's the problem. Like if you don't give this food colorants to the children, then maybe you fix this behavior problem without medicine, without a medicine that will make them addicted or will make some like damage in the future, right?
So you now is knowing the reading of the food label is very important things when
Yes.
you choose the food to eat.
Exactly.
So now we are nearly the end of the webinar already. So before we leave, I would like everyone to open the camera, please, so we can take a photo together before we got the certificate. So
Yes, and I want to see those that were watching me and those that are here with us also. Would be nice.
Okay. So there has one question left. Could you?
Okay.
So they
Nice.
will asking. So doing. We have one. So student, open the camera, please.
Want to see the people. Nice. Hey.
Okay, เปิดกล้องหน่อยจ้า I had to speak in Thai. So show your beautiful face. Okay. All right. Okay, จ้า Okay, so right. Open
Nice.
everyone. You look good already.
Yes.
Alright so ใช่พร้อมเก็บรูปนะคะ Okay so let's wait about okay so everyone is nearly open okay นะคะso wait a bit okay okay everyone smiling they already preparation so we gonna take photo together so 1 2 3 smile okay another one please 1 2 3 smile okay thank you very much everyone to join us today
Thank you.
so we had one questions asking you for the
Okay,
last
let's-
one they have from audience Damien so see he is PhD studying here US here so Damien could you hello say hello
Hello.
yeah
Damien.
so could you ask the questions here you leave the questions about the monosodium glutamate right
Yes. So I was just trying to find out, since we were on the topic of food additives, I just wanted to find out from her, from the presenter, if monosodium glutamate is also frowned upon in Brazil, or how is it? Is it something that is encouraged in the use in the food industry or at home, or it is not? It's banned or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very nice question. Since the Japanese use a lot of glutamate monosodium, MSG, I will call MSG, monosodium glutamate, then there is available in some dishes and in some Asian, here is linked to the Asian cuisine. And but it's also sold in the supermarket. So people don't use that much. I don't know. I don't know why. And the part of your question related to the health problems related to glutamate monosodium or MSG. I'm keep on saying this in Portuguese, glutamato monosódico.
MSG is okay.
There is like two sides. If you like, research shows that if you use it too much, you will have some reactions like allergies.
Yes.
You have the that's Chinese restaurant syndrome that they call.
Yes, yes,
Too much.
You are thirsty.
Yes, you drink a lot of water, but
Yes.
if you use like a little bit, sometimes if you use like from now and then there is no problem for your health unless you are allergic to it. So it's something that can be used, but as all other additives should be used in a responsible way.
I
Thank
see.
you.
They can. Did I
Yes.
answer?
Yes, I think they mean us because in Thailand we use a lot of MSGs mostly in many dish. We believe it's make food it must be tasty, so they put a lot. Yes. So this is a problem in Thailand. Okay, so now, so thank you everyone so that's the last question. So thank you everyone to joining us today, and for the next webinar นะชาติรบกวนแชร์ตัวของเว็บนาครั้งต่อไปด้วยค่ะ Okay, so for the next webinar we have on the 1st of August. And today I have to thank you all of you to join us today, and the link for the online certificates is on the chat box and also be sharing on the screen after this in the QR code. So today, thank you again for Dr. Catherine to sharing us today about the Brazilian foods and open the world about the foods around the world today. So thank you so much, and thank you all the students to joining us today. Thank you. So bye bye ka everyone.
Thank
so
you.
bye. Okay.